Hi, California Family Council is out here outside Jurupa Valley High School with Jessica Tapia, a teacher who was fired for standing up for her religious beliefs because she didn't want to comply to lying to parents. So today we had a press conference with Assemblymember Bill Essayli. He introduced AB 1314, legislation that will make sure that schools have to be honest with parents about their children's identity. So Jessica, can you tell me a little bit about your experience and maybe how God's been moving in this story of yours?
Yeah, I mean, it's been all him. He's been in this story since really before it started. Um, Something I just shared for the first time in a podcast I did last week or the week before, but I was reflecting back to just a couple months before this all began for me. I actually had this moment where students said something to me, nothing bad, but they spoke and I immediately was like, God, was that you? And it was so random in what they said, but they said, Mrs. Tapia, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, what are you talking about, guys? I'm doing it. Like, I went to college for 8 years in total to become an educator. I love what I do here, getting to be with you guys every day and teach you. And they're like, no, you're too good for this. What do you want to do with your life? Do you want to be a YouTuber? Do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to own a business? And I was so thrown off by their question. But at the same time, I was like, they're maybe seeing something that I'm not seeing. I don't know, maybe God's speaking to me, but that just stuck with me. I don't, remember a lot of things that students say to me, but that moment stuck with me. And looking back now, I'm like, I think that was God kind of letting me know something's coming and he's going to use me in a bigger way than maybe he's using me, here teaching. So
That's powerful because, like you said, students are always saying things, but that stuck with you for a reason, and I think it's encouraging you now in this moment.
Definitely.
And why was it important for you to make sure parents know what's going on with their children? Why did you feel like you had to stand against what your school district was telling you?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm a parent myself, and it takes a lot for me to ever drop my kids off anywhere and, trust someone other than myself with them. But if I were to do that, I would want to know and trust and believe that, that person that I'm entrusting the care of my child to would tell me anything and everything that I needed to know about my child, especially something so serious, such as a gender identity, questioning or crisis. And we know from research that things like that, cause serious, traumatic responses from kids. So you would think that naturally in common sense, that would be the very information that schools would make sure we get out to parents. But yet that's the very information I was asked to withhold and even lie to parents about, act as though I didn't know if I was told.
And a lot of teachers in California, they're experiencing they have to put their beliefs and their values aside to now comply with being able to keep their job and comply with what their school district's telling them. Do you have any words of encouragement to those teachers in California?
Definitely. I'm, of course, going to speak from, my stance of faith. God is my boss, and if you're a Christian as well, if you follow Christ, he is yours as well. And, unfortunately, in this world where we can, and as I have, we can come into a situation where our boss in our job or our career is asking us to do things that is counter to what God and the way God is calling us to live, and that's a situation I found myself in. And so my encouragement to anyone who may find themselves in the same situation is remember where your fear should be. We're called to not fear man, we're called to fear the Lord, and only the Lord. We're called to not please man, but please only the Lord and honor the Lord in the way that we live and love each other. And speaking of the word love too, I think the world has so many different definitions of that, and they're trying to get us to all agree that love is love. And what does that even mean? And again, as believers, God has taught us what love is. God is love, and love is truth. And so we need to remember what love truly really is and live that out, even if our employer is asking us to do something that is not in line with that. We need to speak up. We need to stand up because it's only going to get worse if we don't.
Well, thank you, Jessica, so much for putting your fear in God over fear of man. And thank you so much for standing up for your faith. And we're so appreciative, and God bless you.
You too. Thank you.